Hello there. Noise, huh? It's kind of everywhere. Back in the day, it could be found on practically every recording. A nuisance, best to be avoided, standing in the way of the quest to capture the most pristine audio possible. A fuzzy beast that needed to be tamed. Many engineers found their fate trying to wrestle a hairy behemoth. And it has crept outside of the recording domain, into our daily lives. Every little mechanical movement adds to it, like a little minion, much akin to a strand of hair, helping to shape the creature. Even in supposed complete silence, you can't escape it. Your heartbeat, your bloodstream, the noise already lives in you. But hey, there are ways to control the beast. And by that I don't mean trying to suppress it with the means of noise reduction. No, we don't want to get rid of it. We want to make it useful to us. So let's tame the beast with a filter. In this case, a high-pass filter. So here's a few use cases in which this combination could be useful to us. Let's start with just the noise and the high-pass filter, shall we? With the frequency turned all the way down, we could picture this as a large continuous stream of water, like a waterfall, or a river stream, for example. If we turn the filter frequency up, we can tame the tides and control the intensity of the stream, from a large river to a showerhead, to a running water faucet, or a small glass of refreshing fizzy drink. I hope I'm not making you thirsty. The sound could also be viewed as an exhaust of steam or a gas leak. Did I turn off the oven? Ah, never mind. This is not a cooking show. So moving on, if we start to shape the envelope of the noise oscillator, like turning up the attack, it starts to sound like a broomstick. Or if we turn the frequency up further, a nice can of Coke. Okay, enough with the beverage comparisons. I hope you're hydrated enough. Next up, I want to introduce some modulation with an LFO, and I will assign that to the filter cutoff. If we set the oscillator shape to sample and hold, and leave the frequency of the filter in the 10K range, it starts to sound like a water hose. You might be hydrated, but your plants might crave some much-needed H2O. So give them some love too. Even a cactus needs some water from time to time. Trust me, I learned it the hard way. If we turn the frequency down and the resonance up, it will give us a sound close to a frying pan. Okay, now I'm getting hungry, so let's move on. Setting the LFO shape to a sine wave will give us something like a maraca. Or if we want to move into animal territory, it could be viewed as a grasshopper. Or a rattlesnake if you want something more dangerous. If you turn up the frequency of the LFO and increase the resonance amount, this will turn into an annoying insect. A cicada, for example. Losing your sleep is far more dangerous than snake bites, in my opinion. Even if you manage to fall asleep, you could be plagued by nightmares. Lost in a cave with bats flying around can be scary for a lot of us. Let's set the LFO shape to sample and hold again, with the amount set to 35%, and turn the resonance all the way up. With some additional reverb, we can bring even the toughest guy to his knees. But I don't want to leave you with a feeling of unease. Let's move on to something friendlier. A bird, for example. Let's set the LFO shape to a sine again, and leave the resonance of the filter as it is. Modulating the filter frequency and the LFO rate with the key number will give us some variety in pitch and timbre. Let's tame the harshness with some additional EQ and some echo and reverb to give it some space. And there, I hope you're feeling better now. Noise, modulated with a high-pass filter, can also be used for a plethora of mechanical sounds, like a helicopter, for example. This time, I will set the LFO shape to a sawtooth with an upward motion and turn down the filter cutoff with a moderate amount of resonance. Fading the highs and saturating the low end will bring us closer to the ballpark. Your friend had a climbing accident? No problem. Helicopter is coming to the rescue. To speed up the healing process, distractions can be helpful. So let's turn up the frequency, back off the resonance, and get rid of the low-end rumble. There, we just built our friend a little film projector. Remember the times when your leg wasn't broken? Good times, huh? Healing takes time, of course. So to keep track of it, we set the LFO back to sample and hold, and the filter frequency to a higher range, so we can build ourselves an hourglass. This method not only works for grains of sand, but for grains of all kinds, even small gravel. Speaking of gravel, this might have been what caused him to slip in the first place. Of course, an hourglass is not the best way to keep track of time for a longer period. So let's set the LFO to a sawtooth with a downward motion and another LFO to modulate the volume. Ableton Live's operator synth only has one LFO, so I have to resort to the auto pan device with the shape knob turned up to give it a square shape, turn down the phase and set the rate to 30 Hz, and we're getting close what we're looking for. To give it some finishing touches, I'll shape the transient, EQ it, and apply an impulse response of a small speaker. There, we've just built our friend a watch to keep track of his time better. Of course, keeping track of time is just trying to make order out of chaos. Everything happens at the same time, all at once. We just try to focus on what's important to us and sequence it to keep track of it. Just like with a filter and some modulation. In the end, the universe doesn't care. And that may be the beauty of it. You can shape the noise any way you want. Tame the beast and take a ride. Well, there you have it. Many ways to make noise useful to us. If you think I was getting too philosophical in the end, or if there's something else you want to get off your chest, let me know in the comments. And if you found this information useful, please leave a like or a sub. And if anybody is interested, I'll leave a link to the live set and the samples in the description. Peace, I'm out.